So I don't really talk about this stuff anymore because it's kind of so long ago. But yeah, it's been 4 years since I used gear. So in today's vid, this is going to be a comparison of me when I was on gear 4 years ago to me now when I'm not, and basically comparing those two physiques. Now before we get into this, I just want to say thanks to everyone who got amongst the Gymsteez Black Friday drop. Last week went insane, haven't done numbers like that for like 3 years. So thanks all you guys who are supporting the brand, helping me build it back up again. It truly means so much, and it was just so awesome to get that many orders come through and have messages from you guys loving the the new stuff, and yeah, it's just so fucking cool. And honestly, like I had a whole vlog filmed going over like the drop and doing it, some training stuff, and I was just like, you know what, like I can just say thanks in this vid, chuck over some of that vlog footage. It's all good. We can get into this vid, which I actually want to do. I've wanted to do this vid for such a long time, so let's just get into it. So I don't really talk about this stuff anymore because it's kind of so long ago. But yeah, it's been 4 years since I used gear, and the reason I don't like to even say it's been 4 years since I used gear, because that implies that I used it for a long time before I stopped using it, basically. And if you know my story, you'll know that in 2014, I think it was, I actually tried my first cycle, and this was after about 10 years of training, or 8, 9 years, something. It was a long time training. I've been training since I was 13. And I think I might have been, from memory, maybe 22 or 23 when I first tried using any gear. And actually at the time when I first tried this, so this was test prop, I had people in my ear from competing who were like, dude, if you could look this good naturally, or technically maybe I wasn't natural because I was on 4 weeks of Winstrol. If I could look that good with that, imagine if I was taking some gear to make me bigger, basically. And I really was against it. I really was like, no, like I just don't want to do this. I have friends, a lot of friends who are on shit, and I just didn't want to do it. It's just personal choice. I'm like, I don't want to take steroids, basically. And it got to the point, I think I was like 9 weeks out from my next show or something like this, and I'm like, it had just been back and forth in my head. I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it. So I organized my stuff, and I did 6 weeks on test prop, and it was 250 mg or something like that a week on test prop. And basically I was shredding for my show like I usually did, and I just got bloated, my body held water. I'll put some footage on screen. Literally I started to gain weight on my shred for the show, and I'm just like, I was dieting as I normally would, and my conditioning just wasn't coming through because I was not prepared for anything to be different. Physiologically in my body, I thought I'd just shred as I always did, and my body just didn't get lean. I just held all this water because of the gear that I was on, and it threw me off, man. I had to pull out of this comp I was doing. I didn't know anything about a PCT at the time. I was young, there was not much information on the internet about this kind of stuff, and I thought, I kind of knew about it, but I was like, oh, 6 weeks, what's that gonna do? Like, it's not like I've been on this shit for like 12 weeks or something like that, which is, I think, a usual cycle. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I still don't know what is considered normal or whatever, because I'm not really into that anymore. And when I was, it wasn't educated into it. It was just me kind of going with the crowd, or going with what other people told me to do, which was very naive. I was a lot younger back then. But yeah, basically this is how I looked on screen. I was huge and jacked, and then for a couple weeks after my comp prep ended, which I didn't even do the comp, I was just eating a lot more food, and I just put on body fat like crazy, and I started to lose the muscle because I hopped off the stuff, and psychologically it put me in depression for about 2 months. And I went and got my test levels checked, and they were really low. They were like so low that like just after 6 weeks on a freaking test prop. But I was in New Zealand, and there was no doctors were prescribing any like form of anything to get your test levels back up. So I literally had months of like feeling like shit, hated training, was depressed, held body fat, lost muscle. It was just a shit time. And it took me to just hit a wall one day and just say, you know what, fuck this. I'm getting back into my training, and I'm getting in shape again, and I'm putting an effort in with my diet again, and I had to work like twice as hard to get back in shape. And then I'll put this footage on screen here. This is basically my comeback from that, and this is me right before I moved to Australia about 5 years ago now. So yeah, made the comeback from that, and then I was happy being natural, and like I'll put some footage on screen. There was a point where at the end of that shred, I looked really good and I still looked kind of full and lean. And then a few months later, it got to a point where I just was trying to stay lean for too long, and because I was natural, I just like got skinnier. When you're on a lack of calories for too long, and I'm not talking 12 weeks, I'm talking if you're like on lack of calories for like 7 months, you're gonna lose muscle, and that's kind of what was happening to me. So I looked very aesthetic, and I'll put this footage on screen. This is when I first went to the Arnold Expo, the first one here in Australia. For a lot of you new guys who don't follow this is like, or who haven't followed me for long, this is like, I was talking to a friend the other day about this. The scenes back then were so fun at the expos. They were like so new and exciting, and people wanted to be at these expos because, not because they were getting paid $10,000 to be and feature at an expo, which is the case now, because no one goes unless they get paid, basically. Or if they've got a business and they're doing their shit. This was at a time where it was exciting for us as the people in the industry. Now it's, dude, I know a lot of people in the industry, and if you meet them in an expo, they might seem happy, but it's because they're getting paid or they're there with a business, and it's not genuine and authentic. And it just isn't like that anymore. The times have changed, and yeah, it fucking actually sucks, but it is what it is. Like, it's just the way it is. So yeah, basically, when I was lean and aesthetic in Australia and I went to this Arnold Expo, looking back, I'll put some photos up, I was, you know, aesthetic or whatever, but I was, I'd been dieting way too long basically, and I needed to get more in a calorie surplus again, and because I was just basically getting skinny. So after this expo, it wasn't too bad. There was no one around at this point that was like crazy huge and shit, like in terms of their physical mass. There was still guys who were like, you know, Chris Lovato and Matt Ogus. This is like real OG shit. Well, Matt Ogus, he's pretty beast, but like in person, he's not like a giant, you know what I'm saying? So it was kind of at a point where there was, and Christian Guzman and stuff like this, people weren't like, there's people in the industry who are popular not from being like hugely jacked and stuff. And then I found as the years went on, and you know, Men's Physique and the standards there went, you know, way bigger, and people in the industry just started getting bigger to make names for themselves and stuff, you know, like, I don't even know if Callum Vermogen was even in the industry at this point in 2015 or 14 or whatever it was. It's just crazy. So like, this was a point where it was like, you know, I didn't feel, it was all good. I didn't feel small or anything like this. So anyway, a few months after this and a few months more living on the Gold Coast, I started to feel really small, man, training in some of the gyms here. And it was a pressure which was just getting to me mentally. I was training with guys and friends who were a lot bigger than me, and I was just like, what am I even fucking doing? Like, literally, I was like, and it probably didn't help that I was in a calorie deficit trying to stay lean, and you know, because when people are on gear, they can stay lean and even be just maintenance calories or whatever, and they still are big and jacked. And it's like, the hard thing is it does work, but at what cost? Like, you know, gear does work if you get good stuff, but at what cost? Like, is it really the price you want to pay? And for some people it is. So here's where things got interesting. I just decided, after training with big people and feeling small in the gym, and whether that was in my head or not, maybe it was, but this is the kind of struggle I know a lot of people deal with. And I'm here to say in this video, it's okay to not be massive and jacked. So like, look at me now. Like, I mean, I'm lean, I've got good lighting on me. I am athletic, and I train just like any bodybuilder would. And I may not be as big and huge as them, but like, I can still perform in the gym. I enjoy my training, and that's what it's all about. It's like, I'm happy with my image. I know sometimes I look skinny in angles, and sometimes I have to be in lighting to look big or whatever. Like, it's cool. Like, I'm fine with it. And I think a lot more of you guys should be too, hopefully, if you're watching this. But, you know, I got to this point, yeah, where I was just like, fuck it, and started running a big cycle. So this was technically my second cycle. And this was in 2015. This was when I did all those Vlog of the Gods videos with like Callum Vermogen and who's in the Chest Brad, Jeff Side, all those guys. And basically I did this cycle when I thought I was gonna be next to Callum Vermogen at the Cellucor stand in New Zealand. And I was just like, I need to get bigger, man. I just need to get bigger. And I did. So I started doing a cycle of like tests, and I actually used Tren and stuff like that. And I got bigger. And I'm gonna put this footage on screen here. This was where things were fine. Like, my metabolism did change, so I couldn't eat like I used to do when I shredded. I was a lot hungrier all the time, but I had to actually eat less calories because I was holding more water. Like, my skin looked tighter and more vascular, and this is what the gear did to me, but I had a lot more fluid retention in my skin. Like, I just wasn't getting lean, but yet I still looked vascular and stuff. It was quite weird what it did. So I'm gonna put some footage on screen. This is basically me at the expo. This is when I actually looked good, and because I had to diet a bit harder, but this would have been about 10 weeks, I think, on the cycle and with the training and stuff. I'm bicep curling 60 kgs, guys. Like, I know I'm swinging a little bit, but like, dude, that's a lot of weight, man. That is a lot of weight. Like, what the fuck? I could not do that now. So this was the point where it was like, okay, this is all good. And I had my PCT organized for after this, because I knew from the last time I got depressed and my test levels went low. I'm gonna link this vid below as well. Watch this one right here. Steroids Ruined My Life. This is a great video. I was very emotional at the time. If you haven't seen this, well worth a watch. Go give this 3,000 views right now. This will give you a basic perspective of where my head was at, because I do talk a lot more in depth about things. It's been a while now. But yeah, basically on that vid, everyone's like, well, you should have organized a PCT. You're an idiot for not doing that. I did organize a PCT and it fell through. When you're dealing with illegal drugs and stuff, things fall through. So my PCT was organized, fell through. And then so I basically had like 4 weeks of not being on anything, and I kind of held the physique, but things started to go a bit weird. Like, I started to get bad skin. I was starting to get pimples around my shoulders and stuff like that. Started to get gyno, man. Like, I really just noticed like these lumps starting to form behind my nipples, and this was right before Vlog of the Gods. And I was at this point, I'm like, you know what, I need to jump back on. I couldn't organize a PCT. I struggled to get anything. So I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna organize more gear, because that's something I can get from a different guy. So I went back on the cycle. So after 10 weeks on the shit, 4 weeks off, and then I went basically back on the same stuff now for another 4 weeks before these expos, and then over the next 2 weeks, as it was the expos across Australia, where I was doing the Vlog of the Gods series, which a lot of you guys probably first know me from. And man, if you see me in these vids, I am just fucked. Look at me, like I'm juiced up, I'm jacked up, I've got gyno. You know, this shit did not treat me good, man. I know I probably did a bit of a harsh cycle, I guess you could say. But to be fair, like, what I was doing is a lot less than what I know a lot of other people were doing at the time. So you just, look, all I'm saying basically, if you're on gear, you need to be careful and know what you're doing. So if you look at me here, guys, I am huge, man. I'm 92 to 94 kgs. The heaviest, and I'm like relatively lean. I know I'm holding a bit of water. This is because I wasn't really dieting, but yeah, I was huge, I was strong. I knew I was going to be next to Callum Von Moger on the stand at these expos. I'm like, I don't want to look like a little bitch compared to this massive dude who I actually, you know, looked up to a lot. And I'm not saying I don't anymore, like, but it's weird, like, people are like, man, you know, do you talk to Callum and stuff much these days? Like, no, I don't. Like, Callum never followed me or anything. Like, I don't know, like, I thought it was weird, like, I don't know why he never followed me. Like, I got his number and stuff, and we teed up for the Vlog of the Gods. I was calling him for the gym, and he came down to train with us all and stuff like that. He was overly nice to me, like gave me his number in the first place and stuff like this, and I'm like, you know, I was like, fuck yeah, this guy's a good cunt, what the fuck. But he never followed me. I don't get upset about that or anything. I know Instagram is not real life, whatever. People don't always just want to follow people. Maybe I was posting stuff on my wall, he just was like, check my page out, and was like, oh, I don't know if I want to follow him. Who knows? So what I'm trying to say is basically, before this, like, me being similarly lean to what I was on gear, 92 to 94 kgs, the heaviest I've been before that, probably around that kind of leanness looking, probably 82 to 84 kgs. So it's like an extra 8 to 10 kgs body weight, which my body was carrying, which it doesn't want to carry. I want to compare this now. So basically what happened after this cycle, I did PCT. I didn't keep any of my gains. I lost everything straight away. I was still kind of, my weight stayed around there, but my body fat went hugely up. I stopped being able to get as much pump in the gym, and I just started to lose everything. And then for a couple months I had PCT, but I just still felt like shit. And I got to a point, like I just needed to, I don't know if I've ever really talked about this, but there's a point, so I got my test levels checked and they were low, so I got prescribed HCG, which brings up your natural test levels. So this was, yeah, exactly 4 years ago it would have been. And that's why I was doing the Journey Back to Aesthetics series, because like I've said in previous vids, that was basically my series to basically get my life back on track after I lost all my gains from gear, and trying to like mentally recover from that as well, because it was hard for me at the time. So anyway, I did get back in great shape after the gear. It took twice the effort. It took mental fortitude. It took dieting insanely hard, and I got in really great shape. And then I just had the gyno. I had crazy gyno still, and I think the HCG flared it up, and that's not something that my doctor warns me about or anything. So, you know, it is what it is. That happened. That's when I got my gyno surgeries. I've documented this all on my YouTube channel. And then basically after that, I just was like, fuck the fitness industry, fuck training to look good. I'm gonna try a couple of years of my life where I don't really care about my physical image. And, you know, I went down that route, and it wasn't so much, there's points where I was like, hey, I was getting a lot more enjoyment in other things in my life because I wasn't so focused on the gym and how I looked and stuff like that. But I had given up on myself, more so from a perspective of, you know, it's like training's not just to look a certain way. I'd given up on discipline that comes with, you know, following a diet. I'd given up on discipline that comes with actually going to the gym and pushing yourself for just physical fitness and overall health in general. Like, training is great for you. And I basically, you know, I was still training maybe once or twice a week because I was doing gym stees, photo shoots, or whatever I was doing. I couldn't like completely get out of it, but I wasn't enjoying it. My training sessions were shit, and you know, I enjoyed more so sitting on the couch and eating pizza than going to the gym for those couple of years. And you guys might have followed me through there, maybe you didn't. Maybe you followed me recently, at which I feel like this year, and no, mainly last year when I did the comp prep that won last year, that's kind of the first point of me getting back into this fitness scene. And now I'm like back in what I love again, because I'm in it for the right reasons, and I'm just enjoying having it again. And it's crazy because literally I've gone through every point of like hating it, but like being the first to love it when I was 13 and no one else liked it, to going through all this shit, and you know, here we are now. So basically what I want to do in this video is compare my physique now. So I'm going to put on screen this footage here. This is me probably at my most aesthetic. I think this was a couple of weeks out from my New Zealand show, just recently, like a couple of months ago. I'm not going to compare this physique exactly, because this is me a lot leaner, you know, relatively, because I've been shredding for a comp. It's easy to say, hey, this physique looks way more aesthetic and better, because obviously my proportions are sick. My waist is in a lot more, so I'm that much leaner. But you can even just see here, look how healthy and good I look, you know what I'm saying? So I'm basically gonna get some footage on screen now of me a couple of weeks after the comp. This is where I was sitting, instead of around 76 to 77 kgs, because I was, you know, that lean for the comp. This is me, you know, at not a similar body fat, because I was still a bit leaner, but this is me like 80 kgs basically. So 12 kgs less than when I used to be on gear all those years ago. And look how much better I look, guys. Look how much healthier I look. Just look at me. Like, I don't look like I'm bloated or holding water. My face isn't huge. Stuff like that. Like when I was on gear as well, that's one thing I didn't talk about. My face blew the fuck up and I got a massive face. My voice got so deep, I just sounded like an idiot.
What is good, bros? It's your boy, Freezy, and we are here, ready for day one of the Sydney Health and Fitness Expo. Checking the aesthetics.
And I just kind of wanted to do this vid to really kind of put that comparison there, to say, hey, you know, doing gear is not all it's cracked up to be. I know there's people who are pro using gear, or not pro it, but you know, use gear. They're people that are doing it mainly for a reason. Most people I see on YouTube promoting that kind of stuff, well, not promoting it, but showing their experience, would be like someone like Brandon Harding, Greg Doucette, he's a great one. These guys, Brandon's young, I know he's like, you know, compared to someone like Greg has a lot of years of experience. He's probably more, I'd say, probably more aware of his decisions or what have you. I know Brandon's like a young, like probably remind me of myself, like just going for it. You're in the industry and you're like, you know, he wants to do the classic physique or whatever, be the best. Okay, obviously he's gonna be on that shit, but it's like people who are, you see doing it and you think, oh, well, they're doing it, maybe I'll do it. You need to remember as well, these guys that are doing it for pretty specific reasons. Although they're sharing their stuff, it doesn't mean that you should just do it too. Maybe like Brandon's not the best at saying that sometimes because he's so open with it and he's like young. He just, not that he probably wouldn't want to not promote it, but he just probably forgets to say it in his vids. Sometimes I know I'm the same, sometimes I forget to say shit. Whereas Greg overly explains everything, so he would say, hey, at least if I'm doing this shit, you shouldn't do it. And you know, basically it's just interesting. Like, I think the most important message you can get out of this video, if you're watching this, is, hey, don't think that if you're feeling that you're not big enough or something, that by going on gear, all your problems are gonna get solved and, you know, you're gonna put on muscle or mass so much faster and it's gonna make your life better. It's not the case. Even still, it's like an illegal drug in most places. Just because your favorite Instagram influencer is using it, or something you see some Jax guy on Instagram, don't think that you need to do it and your life's gonna be sick. Like, I don't know, I hope more people can look at me. It's funny, with me, some people are like, man, there's no fucking way you're natural. Some people think, oh, obviously you're natural, Freeze, man, look at you, you're fucking small and like your physique's not that impressive. So I don't get it. Like, some people are like, you're definitely on shit, man, don't lie to people. And then other people are like, there's no way you're fucking on shit. Someone who I enjoy is the Natty or Not Vids is probably Greg Doucette's, because he actually has that perspective of knowing that you can still look good and be natural. I think it's fucking sad when people don't think you can't look good or have a good physique and not be natural. Like, people who think like that are the ones who don't get far, or the attitude is just negative and it's not, it's like, oh, well, this guy's only got results. Looking at someone like me who's not even on shit would be like, you know, he must be on shit because his arms are bigger than mine, they've got veins in them, and he's got shoulder separation or whatever, like when he does this, and I don't have that, and I've been training for 2 years. Well, what's your diet like? You've been training for 2 years. I was training from 13 to 23 years, training every day, every week, naturally. Like, I've got years under my belt. But yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Something a little different. I just kind of want to do more vids, just sitting down here and just talking, and I think it's a lot more easy for me to get out a video like this. So you're probably gonna see this with a lot more topics on my channel. Give this a thumbs up, let me know if you like it, comment below. I'd be curious to know. Ask me some questions below if I didn't cover anything, if you want me to. I'll do my best, because I know when it's doing a video like this, it's such a broad, kind of, the vid can go in so many different directions. So if I missed anything, maybe just ask me below. I'll probably give you a comment back as well. So I will leave you now with this video right here, which you should definitely go watch if you were kind of interested on my perspective when I was pretty heated at the end of, you know, this all going down, with when I first kind of came out and said, you know, I was on gear. It's a really interesting vid if you haven't seen it. It was actually going viral on YouTube, and then the algorithm pulled it because I had it requested for monetization. I re-requested it when they didn't monetize it, and as it was going viral, then the monetization request to not be monetized came through from YouTube, and then literally it was gaining like 10,000 views a day, and like I was gaining heaps of subs, and it was going crazy. It would have been over 1 million views for sure, and then YouTube's algorithm pulled it because it decided it wasn't eligible for monetization, in which case it wasn't eligible to go viral. So yeah, go check out this vid if you haven't seen it.